For more than half a century, Star Trek has explored strange new worlds while constantly redefining itself. Unlike many long-running franchises, it has rarely relied purely on nostalgia to survive. In fact, one of the most fascinating aspects of Star Trek's modern era is how deliberately it avoids the nostalgia trap that has often defined its biggest sci-fi rival, Star Wars. Nostalgia can be powerful. It reconnects fans with beloved characters, familiar ships, and iconic moments. But it can also become a creative cage. When stories exist mainly to remind audiences of the past, the future, ironically for a science fiction saga, starts to feel smaller. Star Trek has largely resisted this problem by embracing reinvention instead of repetition. Compare the core philosophies of the two franchises. Star Wars is built around mythic cycles, legendary heroes, ancient conflicts, and the eternal struggle between the light and dark sides of the Force. That structure naturally pulls the story back to familiar icons like Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, and the Millennium Falcon. Revisiting them is part of the brand. Star Trek, however, was always built differently. From the moment Star Trek, the original series introduced the crew of the USS Enterprise. The premise emphasized exploration and progress. Each new era pushed the timeline forward, giving audiences new crews and new perspectives rather than endlessly circling the same heroes. This approach became especially clear with shows like Star Trek, The Next Generation. Instead of leaning entirely on the legacy of James T. Kirk and Spock, the series introduced Captain Jean-Luc Picard and an entirely new crew. The gamble worked because the franchise trusted audiences to embrace fresh characters and ideas rather than just relive old ones. Modern Trek continues to walk this line carefully. Series like Star Trek, Discovery, and Star Trek, Strange New Worlds certainly acknowledge the past, but they do so as a foundation rather than a crutch. Discovery eventually leaps centuries into the future, boldly moving the franchise further ahead than ever before. That narrative decision wasn't nostalgic at all. It was the opposite. Even when Strange New Worlds revisits classic characters like Christopher Pike or Spock, it treats them as living, evolving figures rather than museum pieces. The stories experiment with tone, genre, and character development in ways that keep the universe feeling alive. What truly helps Star Trek avoid nostalgia fatigue is its guiding philosophy, optimism about humanity's future. While familiar,